The U.S. is set to provide Ukraine an additional $500 million in weapons quickly pulled from its existing stockpiles as the Biden administration works to get Kyiv in a stronger negotiating position before President-elect Donald Trump takes office, two U.S. officials said. The announcement is expected during Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's final trip to meet with the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, a consortium of about 50 partner nations that Austin brought together months after Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022 to coordinate weapons support. The meeting on Thursday is the 25th and potentially last gathering of the US-led group, as the participating countries wait to see whether it will be continued under Trump. Speaking to reporters in Washington, Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said the U.S. and its allies have committed more than $126 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since Russian troops invaded almost 3 years ago. The weapons are funded through Presidential Drawdown Authority, meaning they can be pulled directly from U.S. stockpiles. A senior defense official who briefed reporters traveling with Austin said the goal was to get those munitions into Ukraine before the end of the month. To date, the U.S. has provided Ukraine about $66.5 billion in weapons assistance. There is now a little less than $4 billion remaining in congressionally authorized funding for Ukraine, and much of that is expected to roll over to the Trump administration to determine whether to continue the weapon support. At Wednesday's briefing, Singh also told reporters that the U.S. military conducted multiple precision strikes against two Iranian-backed Houthi underground advanced conventional weapons storage facilities. The facilities were located within Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen.
Appreciate you being flexible with our schedule. So just a few things at the top, and then happy to take your questions. Tomorrow, Secretary Austin will host the 25th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group at Ramstein Air Base, Germany. The UDCG, first convened by Secretary Austin in April 2022, has been instrumental in coordinating international support to assist Ukraine in defending its sovereignty against Russia's unprovoked aggression. To date, the United States and our allies and partners have collectively committed more than $126 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. And through the work of its capability coalitions, the UDCG has also been critical in bolstering Ukraine's defense capability and building a credible deterrence force so that it can defend against future aggression as well.
For 4 of the detainees in Guantanamo Bay,
he will engage defense ministers and senior military officials from around the world to discuss Ukraine's immediate battlefield needs and longer-term defense requirements. And again, as you know, the meetings will focus on key capabilities Ukraine needs, including air defense systems, artillery munitions, and armored vehicles, as well as efforts to enhance the defense industrial base.
obviously you kind of talked about it, ongoing litigation, but what is...
On Ukraine, as you mentioned, there will be a few $1 billion in authority left for the incoming administration to decide what they decide to do with that remaining authority. Correct, yes. And then Jen, yeah. And I think it's pretty clear that the Ukraine Defense Contact Group is, it's more than just a common understanding, it's a common cause. And so it's really up to the incoming administration to decide what they decide to do with the remaining authority that's left. But of course, we hope that, in some way the Ukraine Defense Contact Group continues on, but certainly support for Ukraine remains strong within Congress.
Like a slightly anemic amount of federal assets being provided.
Turning to the Middle East, today, U.S. Central Command forces conducted multiple precision strikes against two Iranian-backed Houthi underground advanced conventional weapons storage facilities within Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The Houthis used these facilities to conduct attacks against U.S. Navy ships and merchant vessels in the southern Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The strikes are part of CENTCOM's efforts to degrade these Iranian-backed Houthi attempts to threaten regional partners and military and commercial vessels in the region.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said Wednesday that the principle of inviolability of borders applies to every country, however powerful, and suggested that expansionist comments by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump are meeting with incomprehension among European leaders. Trump on Tuesday said he would not rule out the use of military force to seize control of the Panama Canal and Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, a longtime U.S. ally and a member of NATO and the European Union, as he declared U.S. control of both to be vital to American national security. In a hastily arranged statement to reporters, Scholz said he held talks earlier in the day with several European leaders, whom he didn't name, and the President of the European Council. He said it was a long-standing central principle that borders must not be moved by force, a principle that Russian President Vladimir Putin violated with his war in Ukraine. He said that, during Wednesday's discussion, a certain incomprehension became clear regarding current statements from the U.S. The principle of inviolability of borders applies to every country, regardless of whether it is to the east or west of us, and every state must abide by it, regardless of whether it is a small country or a very powerful state. It is a fundamental principle of international law and a key part of what we call Western values, he added. Scholz did not refer to Trump by name or mention the details of his comments. The center-left Social Democrat, who is seeking a second term in an early election next month, also noted that NATO is a central pillar of the transatlantic relationship. At his news conference on Tuesday, Trump said he believes that NATO should dramatically increase its spending targets, with members committing to spend at least 5% of their GDPs on defense spending, up from the current 2%.
In meinen Gesprächen mit unseren europäischen Partnerinnen und Partnern ist deshalb ein gewisses Unverständnis deutlich geworden, was aktuelle Äußerungen aus den USA angeht. Das Prinzip der Unverletzlichkeit von Grenzen gilt für jedes Land, egal ob es im Osten von uns liegt oder im Westen. Und daran muss sich jeder Staat halten, egal ob es ein kleines Land ist oder ein sehr mächtiger Staat. Es ist ein Grundprinzip des Völkerrechts und Kernbestandteil dessen, was wir westliche Werte nennen. Daran kann und darf es kein Rütteln geben. Klar ist, auf absehbare Zeit ist die Sicherheitslage in Europa sehr angespannt. Darauf müssen wir entschlossen und besonnen reagieren. In engster Abstimmung mit unseren Partnern werden wir unsere Verteidigungsfähigkeit stärken. Genau dafür gibt es in der NATO ein geregeltes Verfahren. Auf Grundlage einer detaillierten Bedrohungsanalyse werden sehr präzise die nötigen militärischen Fähigkeiten bestimmt und dann mit allen Bündnispartnern besprochen. Wichtig ist, dass wir in diesen Fragen zusammenstehen und geschlossen handeln.